Okay, so now I'm going to make some fun prints using cut paper stencils. This is the third technique. You can always use cut paper stencils in printmaking. With Monotype, you just put it right on top of your ink and it blocks the ink from printing, right? You can use cut paper stencils on your linoleum blocks for the same reason, you know? If you want to only print a color in one section but not the rest, you would cut a paper stencil to block the places where you don't want that color to go. So I've cut all of these flower shapes. I'm going to make a field of flowers with these stencils. But before I put the stencils down, I've got to put the ink down. So I'm going to go a little bit more crazy now. When I showed you the reductive technique, I just rolled out one color at a time, which is, I think, is the best way to do the way to do reductive Monotype, because it's just easier to think, for me anyway, one color at a time to build your image. But some people will do multiple colors at a time. I'm gonna show you like rolling, like sort of creative rolling with multiple colors here on the plexiglass. Starting with blue. In this way, I'm kind of like drawing with my roller, with my ink rollers. So I'm going to add some red. It's mixing with the blue on the plexi and turning purple. Slide it into that blue. Right, and now I'll throw some yellow in there too. Put it in the middle. And now my ink rollers are getting full of all the different colors of ink. So by the time when you're mixing inks on the roller, you've already kind of decided not to keep the colors separate. So I'm gonna leave that like that and put down some of my color stencils, paper stencils. Some shapes that are, there's 3 different flower shapes, and there's some that are repeated and some that are not. Well, they're all repeated. One of them's repeated 3 times and the other other 2 are repeated twice. So these are my flower stencils covering my ink down on the plexi. I'm going to go ahead and make that print and show you what it looks like. Okay, this is my first layer with the red, yellow, and blue, and the cut paper stencils kind of spread out evenly across the composition. Now, I'm going to show you what the ghost print looks like on the plexi after I peel up my paper stencils. So I'm going to put it down and peel each stencil up. Now each stencil has got a good juicy ink layer on the bottom, so I'm going to turn it around and put it ink side up on the back on the plexi. Helps if you have fingernails. which I don't. Alright, so now I have the sort of like the ghost of those original leaf shapes, and I peeled them up and flipped them over so that that juicy ink is on the top side now. I'm going to take a fresh sheet of paper and make a print of this and see what it looks like. So this was what the result was. Very interesting, kind of like multicolored leaf pattern with a kind of like very ghosty, faint background there. So you can see how the stencils, reusing the stencils and flipping them over, can very quickly help to experiment with different compositions, different visual ideas. This was the first print that I made, right when I put the stencils down and they blocked the ink, so the stencils are all white. It's very stark, very high contrast. And then I picked each individual leaf stencil up and just flipped it over so that that juicy ink layer would print. And the background is a ghost from this ink layer. So it's two very different effects using the same colors actually. So I want you for this assignment to experiment, play around. Like, this is your time to play with color, transparency, shapes, stencil, texture, mark making. Monotype is a lot of fun and very sort of quick results you can get, with the reductive method, layering. In this case, the 3 primary colors, I layered red, yellow, and blue. And then you can just roll ink out on a surface and put your piece of paper right on top of the ink and trace your drawing and create a very softly textured print like this with contour lines. And then what you have left over on the plexiglass plate can be a whole different type of print, right? It's like a negative of that first trace monotype. And then you have what you can do with stencils, paper stencils. So I recommend that you make a few practice monotypes, cut some paper stencils, try some different things out, and experiment before you make a grand plan for your series of 5. They're quick and easy to do, so I hope this demo was helpful and it helps get you started. All right, see you in classroom.